and welcome to the Ziabu Studio Buzz podcast. My name is Doc and I'm coming to you from Albuquerque in New Mexico, and I am gonna tell you everything about my making in the fiber arts, mainly about knitting and also about my hand-dyed yarns, occasionally crochet and spinning. I really wanted to find a different place to sit today, but I don't know how this is gonna go. It's kind of a little weird because this is the corner where I sit and knit, but when I tried to record sitting there, it didn't work out because I don't know, whatever. So I moved over a little bit and I hope this is okay. Yes, so what do I have to talk about? I have some semi-finished objects, and I'm going to start with the big one, which is another sweater. I don't know, I'm on a roll with my sweaters, as you know. It's this guy, which you have seen halfway done without sleeves, and now, as you can see, I am almost done, but I have yet to weave in my ends. In the past episodes, I've told you about this, about what gave me the idea and how I was literally on fire about combining mini skeins for a sweater. And so this is my third one with a different color theme now, which I called Bold. And each one of the sweaters has different sleeves. So the first one that I made, which was kind of had this pink orange theme, has long sleeves. The second one, which is also kind of like a more on a white ground with blue and green speckles, has the sleeves that end before my elbow, and these are 3/4 sleeves. There will be a pattern coming, and I have made it with 3.5 millimeter needles, and the neckline is quite generous, and the fit looks like it's too tight for me. However, it will grow a little bit once I have washed it and blocked it. But what I usually do is, I know most people do it the other way around, but I weave my ends in first because after blocking, I want to be done. So that's why I'm going to weave in my ends before. I had gathered all the mini skeins that I still had that were, no, not all of them. That was a lie. I have a lot of leftover yarns, hand-dyed, and still a lot of mini skeins. So there would be more for another sweater, probably more than one. But back to where I came from. So I gathered the bolder colors of mini skeins, and there were a few that I really wanted to put in here, and I'm going to show you just for funsies. So this was one that I won in a giveaway of Rachel, who has a podcast which is called Yarn Equals Joy. If you don't know her, you should check her out. This is a skein I feel like I'm messing this up. Let me make sure that I'm not, no, wrong. See, this is the one that I wanted to show you. This is one that Debbie dyed off, yet another podcaster, Debbie off the Periscoping Sisters. A few years ago when she visited, we were dyeing together, and this is one that she made, and as far as I remember, she did not particularly like it, but I have just been obsessing over this color. I just love it so much. This dirty green and hints of purple, really fantastic. Then there was this, which I don't even, I'm very surprised that I managed to bring these strong purples and blues around to end it with this skein that I really wanted to put into this sweater. And I had shown you before, it was a mini skein from Marigold Jen. And actually, I'll need to tell you that to connect this color with this one, I actually dyed a skein of yarn to bring these two colors together. That was fun. So Marigold Jen, Rachel. Then I have another skein that was gifted to me by Vicky, who used to have a podcast, but now you can just only, I want to say only, which is not only, that's plenty because she's super busy. Vicky is gifted me, don't want to show you the wrong one. Yes, I am pretty sure here it's better. You can see it better here. This one. That was also a generous mini skein, probably 20 grams of a, already packaged my leftovers up here. So that was Yarn Ink from Canada. Yes. So I got these. Anything else that I am missing? Oh yes, and of course, a lot of these minis were from an advent calendar, which was also a gift from a very sweet friend of mine. Her name on Instagram is Space Bina. I don't even know if she knits right now. Bina, I don't know, let me know. So the orange is one of that advent calendar, and many of the blues and the purples. So make your friends happy so that they can use your gifted minis in a project, in a scrappy project like this. It's so much fun. And I have to say that when I first started making all these scrappy projects like blankets and such, I really actively went out when I saw other people with scrappy projects. I said, hey, do we want to trade minis? And that's really a fun thing to do. So, and that grows the mini stash. So then in the end, you will have something beautiful like this. If you wonder what these little markers are for, or probably you have figured it out there, the markers that for my decreases for the sleeves. No rush on really finishing this. I'm going to take my time. I will tackle it now, but it's warm. I'm not going to need this for a while. That is the sweater. I have actually not one, but two other finished items, which I wish one of them was still here, but I can't show you because I sent it off. I gifted it to my friend Lauren, and I'm sure it's okay if I put in a picture here of her in her new hat, which looks glorious on her. And she really loved it, and it's not really my colors. The yarn, I really like the yarn, but I mean the yarn in itself, but not really the colors for myself. And the super funny thing is, you're gonna laugh when I tell you what happened was that I wanted to wing a hat for a toddler. And yes, the result was a hat that I could wear. Crazy. Okay, so you get where this is going. I finished one hat and then I made another one, and this is for my goddaughter in Germany, and that's how it looks like. I hope you will like this as much as I do, because I am absolutely in love with the stitch pattern, and I am so in love with how these colors play together. What do you think? I have only one problem. I don't have a child to try this on. So it will have to wait, and I just hope it's gonna fit when she gets her little hat. I have used 3.5 and 4 millimeter needles, and there is a pattern for this which will go into testing with 4 sizes. I finished writing the pattern, and today I will create a new thread in the Zia Wools group on Ravelry. And if you would like to test this pattern, I would like you to, no, it's actually, I didn't think this through, sorry. There will be a thread in the Zia Wools group on Ravelry. However, if you would like to test this pattern, please send me a message. The pattern is in fact written for 3.5 millimeter needles and the ribbing for 3.25 millimeter needles. And the yarn is DK. I have used the purple is Cascade Yarns Venetia, and that's a blend of, I think it's merino and silk. Let me make sure. Where are my glasses? Yes, 70 merino and 30 silk. The variegated yarn is a hand-dyed, I know I have a tag, but it's sadly discontinued. It is a, oh, here it is. It is a DK weight alpaca yarn dyed by a friend of mine, Delis in Maryland. So beautiful how these yarns are together. This was half the fun, to pick yarns that I could combine for the hat. I already have gathered some other combinations. I don't know when I'm going to get around to those, but this being one of them. No, let me get them out. This should be another silk merino blend, and it is indeed Malabrigo. Silk merino, another purple. I feel like I've used some of this already, and I wanted to combine it with this, which I believe is Freya, also DK, but no tag, sadly. I think this should work, and I will probably use it from the center outgoing. And my other option is another fun one. This, which is one of these in itself braided yarns, combined with this Lang yarn. Yeah, I think that's going to be the one, because that's really hopefully going to be a hat that I'm going to enjoy wearing. Typical color, even though I have a hard crush on a pale purple right now, because I think it all started, I watched Amy Palco's podcast, and she was showing some yarn that she wants to knit up into a sweater, I think. And then I'm like, oh my God, I need a pale purple sweater. Yes, I do. Okay, but I digress. I'm getting distracted. So possibly this, or possibly, actually I do have plenty of yarn. I could make another one of these, but I do want to try the largest size of the pattern for myself. So I think I'm going to use this, and so I won't run out of yarn. I need to make sure. Okay, let me clean up a little bit here. That was the other option over here. And here's the tag, one of the tags. Here's the purple tag, more tags, tags, tags. And then what else? Oh, yes, back to the test knit. If you would like to test knit this pattern, please send a message to me on Ravelry. My ID is PaperDag. Please don't do it on Instagram or another platform, because it would get in the long run, it just gets very confusing. So it needs to be on Ravelry, please, where I'm PaperDag. And I need you to tell me what size you would like to make. This can be done in a baby size. This, like I said, is a toddler, probably I'm guessing, hopefully you will test knit this for a child. I would say maybe from age 2 to 5. Then there is one more size, and the largest size is the one that I will make for myself. But like I said, 4 sizes: baby, toddler, how should I say? It's not teenager. Let's say around 10 years old, and then an adult size one. Hopefully my sizing is going to work out, and that's why I'm going to need some help. The pattern, like I said, is completely written, so I'm ready to send it out to you, and all you need is DK yarn that makes you jump with excitement. I would suggest a solid color and a variegated color, or like I showed you here as the second color, a gradient. Yes, that's the hat, and I haven't even told you what I am going to call it. It is called the Desert Dancer. Okay, what next? Well, you saw that beautiful stitch pattern. I found it in an old magazine from Germany, probably from the 70s or so. And when I figured out a slight variation, yeah, for the hat. But then I thought, I think I could turn this into a sweater. And I will, at this point, probably make a child-size sweater. And I already bought some yarn, and here we go again in I fell for my crush purple, pale purple, and it's kind of like, or would you call that a lavender color? I think so. And this is Elspeth Lavold silky wool, 45 wool, 35 silk, 20 nylon, and this is a 50 grams skein, and it's suggested to use 4 millimeters, which I find, I don't know, this almost looks like a fingering. I cannot see how you would knit this with 4 millimeter needles, but whatever. I'm not gonna listen to it. I'm gonna choose my own needles. But what is my contrasting color, you're gonna say? I ended up purchasing a bear skein. I went to my yarn store to find yarn. So I purchased a white skein and overdyed it. I mean, not overdyed it, I dyed it. And I hope I didn't do too much purple, because the purple is not gonna show, of course, that much. But I think it's gonna work. Yeah, I haven't even wound it. So what I'm thinking is that I'm gonna do that braid pattern for the yoke, and then the rest of the sweater, of course, is gonna be in the purple. A plan. Haven't cast on yet, but you know how it goes with my plans. I have these ideas and then I search. I had another idea. I wanted, did I mention that I wanted to use some yarn that I had dyed, excuse me. Okay, my daughter just called, or FaceTime. She called me from the Grand Canyon. That's where she is right now with her dad. They're making their way with plenty of detours from California to home to New Mexico. Funny that I didn't even know that they wanted to go there. So, I love that place. Okay, but while I was in my studio, I did a quick printout of the last current version of the hat pattern, which looks like this. And I don't think I ever told you, I have to think about that. If you would like to test knit the pattern, I would still have to think about a timeline, and I would like you to be able to commit to a certain timeline, but I haven't thought about that yet, so I'll figure it out. Okay, that's the dancing sweater, the desert dancer sweater, desert dancer hat, and I think I wanted to tell you about my other ideas. I wanted to use a colorway one of two colorways that I had recently come up with. I wanted to use two skeins of that for a large size shawl. I did want to make a stockinette shawl with whatever other pattern, and I just could not find anything that I liked. So I really wanted to do, let me reach over here, this shape, the same shape as the birds of a feather, the Andrea Maury pattern. So kind of like an asymmetrical triangle. But I couldn't find anything that's stockinette. And of course, the edges would curl up with stockinette if you just knitted the birds of a feather with stockinette. So long story short, in the end, I'm like, I did what I often do. I just made up my own thing. And I have to tell you, I did try initially to work an I-cord edge. But I realized quickly that it doesn't work out. And then there's a lot of logic when you think about it. An I-cord edge has one row for every 2 rows knitted. So it was not working out. And then I went back to the kind of like this, let's call it the style of the birds of a feather, because I did not really pay attention. I kind of winged my beginning, and I have a garter edge of 2 stitches. I'm using 3.5 millimeter needles. Don't ask me how I did the beginning, because already I forgot. But after the so when I start my row, I knit 1 stitch, then I do a yarn over, I knit another stitch. So that's my garter edge, and when I come back, I drop the yarn over, just to make sure that I do that on both sides at the beginning of the row. I want to make sure that my edge is nice and stretchy. After this 2-stitch garter edge, the first stitch is doubled. I kind of regret that I didn't do it with a yarn over, at least on one side, because that would look pretty also, with kind of like holes along the edge. But whatever, I didn't want to rip back when I thought of that. I was already a little bit in. And so I'm doing the increase with a knit in front and back. And then you knit 3 together in the center, but only on the right side. So increase 1, decrease 2, increase 1, turn to wrong side, increase 1, increase 1. And that way you increase by 1 stitch every 2 rows. And I'm just gonna, you're gonna say, that yarn looks familiar. Yes, here's yet again another leftover, and this one is from my Yellow Brick Rodeo sweater. That's the one that I used for the yoke, and it is a Storyteller yarn single. And I adore this colorway. So for now, I'm just going to keep going with this one. I, yet again, did not use either of those 2 colorways that I had shown you a few episodes back, but whatever. And then I'm going to go into my leftover stash and use most likely this itty bitty bit from my Scapa cardigan leftover, and see what else I have that fits with the color theme. Pink, orange, yellow, golden. Should be fun. So I think I told you everything I wanted to tell you. Just one more thing, I am considering putting in some stitch pattern also later, but I haven't decided yet. For now, I'm just going to keep going, and then I will decide later. I will not at this point anymore look at the birds of a feather, not use that stitch pattern for sure. I would probably pick something out of one of my pattern books, but I will tell you next time. I was on an outing the other day where I needed a simple project, something very portable. What's portable? What's simple? Vanilla socks. So I pulled out something that I have had for a very long time, a Jinx yarn. It's a sport weight. And I'm super far along. I want to make shorty socks. And I'm really crazy far. I cast on and I knitted maybe 1.5 rounds. So I'm going to keep going. And this is my project that I am participating with in a knit along of it's a German podcast, and but it's hosted, it's happening on Instagram. So I will put the hashtag on here. That is this my sock. That's my socks. And then I have, I'm kind of on a sweater roll. So for one, I want to continue the sweater for my brother that I showed you a while ago. I haven't continued, and as a friend of mine predicted, she's like, you're gonna rip that back. You're not gonna be happy with that blue stripe. That is so bold in the yoke, and yes, she's right. I'm not happy with the blue stripe in the yoke, and I was also in need of more green heavy German sock yarn. For this, I'm holding two yarns together, two German sock yarns. Let me back up a little bit. This is supposed to be a sweater for my brother. Meaningful because our mother was a sock yarn, the sock knitter. So I have a lot of leftover sock yarns from her, German sock yarns, and so I wanted to use those and make a sweater for my brother, make it kind of very washable, easy to like just throw in the machine, which goes for German sock yarns. I didn't even want to use any hand-dyed ones, and just use whatever I have. Turned out I don't really have a whole lot of greens. So I put out a call to some friends, and I'm gonna get more German green heavy sock yarn, because soon enough I'm going to be in Germany, so some German friends will send me sock yarn so I can continue on this. I already got some, but I'm going to need more. And I will rip this back yet again. That's going to be the third try then, but I thought I'd show it to you before I do that, because then you know what I'm talking about and what was and what is gonna happen. I also need to make the neckline bigger yet again. I think the very first time the neckline was too large, and now I'm really worried because it's gonna be a little bit scratchy. So I think I'm definitely gonna recount and do it kind of probably this big, and so rip back, the blue is gonna go, and I think I also need the sweater possibly to be a little bit wider in relation to the sleeves, but actually maybe not. I don't know. Well, the sleeves are really big. But I think what I will do, because he doesn't know that he's gonna get this, so I think I will ask his wife to measure one of his favorite sweaters. Yeah, I think that's what I need to do. I didn't want to tell anybody in the family, but okay, I'm just gonna have to do it. And yeah, so a third time is going to be a charm. Eventually you will see this. I'm not quite sure when. I already got some fresh greens from some local friends. I got fresh greens from a German friend. I'm going to get more, and so I will be ready to go soon. But like I said, I'm going to do some hardcore counting and measuring before this is going to happen. Another project that I am thinking about, is because I love my sweater so much, and I'm probably only I'm gonna aim to finish my brother's sweater for November, because he's gonna come see us, him and his wife. They're gonna come to Albuquerque, but so I'm thinking that would be a nice gift to have for him then. But in the meantime, I'm thinking about using all of this for another light sweater. Unless I'm gonna get more of this beautiful purple and make a light sweater for myself. I don't know. But there's also the same pretty purple here. And I'm talking about this yarn that I bought a while ago at my yarn store. They put it on sale. It's a cotton lamb's wool blend, I believe. Yes, 45 cotton and 55 lamb's wool. Oh, organic wool. Wow, nice. I don't think I'm going to put the bright yellow in because it's kind of like everything is kind of muted. I think this one is a different yarn. I think this is this. So I'm not really thinking about putting this in, but I'm thinking stripes. I'm thinking a light summer sweater. I'm thinking I need more colors. And I haven't really decided on the order. Let me knock this one out for now. But I did find one. My yarn store doesn't have this anymore, but online I found one store, one that has a lot of colors of this. And what I think I will do is I will start a sweater. And yet again, I'm sorry if you're waiting for me to tell you what pattern I'm going to use. I will yet again make it up. I will use this pattern, but change the neckline. I want a neckline that is deeper in the front and not so much like a boat neck. So I think I'm gonna start knitting and see how much yarn I'm actually really gonna use. I will use 3.5 millimeter needles, and my gauge is a little bit different than this one. And I show you my my wonderful, generously sized swatch. It's always good when you can laugh about yourself, right? Okay, here's my swatch. I should have brought tweezers to hold it because my hands are too big. Okay, that's my swatch. But like I said, I will have to see how big I will make my stripes. I will, for this, switch colors along the raglan seam in the back. And I don't know, I want to say I'm lazy in regards to weaving in ends, but that does not make sense because nobody who's really lazy would make a sweater like this. So I cannot say that, but I'm thinking maybe stripes like this, maybe 10 rounds. I don't know. I shall see. But I'm very excited about it because it should be very kind of like nice, something that you throw on with jeans when you go out to eat in summer and the restaurant is air conditioned and you need something that is not woolly warm. And if you may, by the way, recognize the yarn, a while ago I made a bracelet with small crocheted motifs for my daughter. It's been a while. And yes, if you wonder about my fingerless mitt pattern, I still have a lot of work to do for the writing because I have, let me just grab them, they're over here. You may remember, but I have a lot of new subscribers, so I'm going to show them. So I still have a friend test knitting, and I also will make another pair for my daughter, actually, who saw them and liked them a lot. So she said she wants her own pair, and which is another chance for me to rewrite and check over the pattern. And I will also I will make a pair for her and at the same time go over the pattern. And the main thing that I still have to do is write all those add-ons and measurements and whatnot, and figure out the sizes. And also big deal is to mirror because I've written the pattern for the right mitt, and then of course I still have to write the pattern for the left mitt because it's not identical, it's mirrored. So that's going to be the next step with these. So they're not forgotten. Sweater pattern coming eventually, but the order is: this guy is written, this guy still has to be written, and the sweater is not started. So lots of fun stuff on the agenda. And in the meantime, I hope that you are all doing well and enjoying whatever you're doing. And I hope you have something fun on your needles. And until I see you again, I hope it's going to work out before I'm going to Germany, but I'm pretty sure it's going to work out. But until I see you again, happy knitting. Bye.